Hello, welcome back. We're going to continue our ongoing conversation here about the physical body, the ego, faith in nothing, and all kinds of other stuff too. So, welcome. Thank you for joining me here today. Recently, we've been taking a look, a deeper, in depth look at the physical body. And if you're just joining us, you are not a body. If you're hearing this clearly stated for the first time, welcome again. You are not a body. You are not a body. And you know it's true. You could, of course, choose to deny it or reject it categorically. Again, your choice, your choice. However, anyone, absolutely anybody, anywhere that is interested in spirituality at all doesn't even have to be this course, but anyone, anywhere that's interested in this series of practices that we call spirituality, anywhere, has heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken. And at some point, whether you were consciously aware of it or not, you have formulated the idea that there's got to be more to it than the image that you see when you look in the mirror. There's got to be more to it than a compound physical body that clearly does not last. It's not eternal. Very few of us will even live to be 100 years of age, and we're all really well aware that it could be a lot less than that, couldn't it? So you're not a physical body. The Son of God is not limited. The Son of God is not finite. The Son of God is not frail. You are not a body. So a question that you could very rightly ask is, well, what do I do with this while I appear to be here? Well, we're invited to give it over to our inner teacher for our inner teacher's purposes. In other words, for healing the mind. We're invited to view the physical body as a communication mechanism, as a learning mechanism for the mind. How do we learn? Well, we first of all make the present moment decision to receive the love of God, and then we give it away. We extend love. We extend the miracle of forgiveness to our brother. And as we give, we also receive, because to give and to receive are one in truth. There is only perfect oneness, and there is no separation of any kind. Your brother is not separate from you. Your brother is you. There is only perfect oneness. There's no separation amongst the 8 billion of us that appear to be here in this form that we've referred to as human. There's no separation. There's no separation from God. How can we say that? Only God is. All else is illusion. All of it. And yes, that includes the world. It includes our artificial constructs of space and time. It includes the ego itself, our prized and precious sense of individuality to which we're conditioned through no fault of our own to cling, to adhere to. And we're so used to seeing ourselves as frail and limited and cut off that it's very difficult for us to imagine that there is a completely different thought system that we could follow. There is a completely different way to see. That is this course, and we're invited to allow our inner teacher to run the show and direct us. We're doing nothing less than changing our mind about who we are, about who our brother is, about the world, about all phenomena, all ideas, all of them. We're changing our mind. Nothing less than that. A complete 180. So along the way, ideas such as the very common refrain that you're not a body may seem outlandish, and if they do, not a problem. Expect it. This is the ego resisting. Expect it. Happens. The ego sees the physical body as an end. It sees it as the end-all, be-all. It sees the physical body as you, and when we think that we're separate, so do we. We see the physical body as us. And we suffer accordingly. Now, of course, we have moments, even prolonged periods of time in this world that are pleasurable. Sometimes very pleasurable, yeah. We have joyful experiences. The thing is, they're peppered and interspersed with painful experiences. Nothing lasts in this world. Nothing lasts in this world. Why? There is no world. The Son of God is not a sack of bones and guts that's 80% water. So the substances that this body is made up of are not precious in and of themselves, are they? I mean, it's 80% water, after all. The Son of God is limitless and free. Free, completely limitless. We cannot say this about the physical body in any way, can we? The ego sees it as an end, as the end-all be-all, but it's not an end. It, in fact, is nothing. Now, we're told here, we're shown in A Course in Miracles, that the ego is, in fact, correct about one thing, that you will set it aside. It senses that there is another power that it sees as, of course, separate from it, that's more powerful, and the ego quite rightly suspects that you're going to set it aside. And you will. It doesn't have to be in this lifetime, by the way. So if you're saying, oh, I'm not going to do that, well, all right, don't, no problem. You don't have to do it in this lifetime, but you eventually will. We all will. eventually. How can we say this? There is no separation of any kind. This is, in fact, a dream, and the separation never took place. There's a very well-known passage from the Course that comes up almost every time that this camera and microphone are on. Ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. You are the thought of God. Where are you? Yeah. You've never left your source. There is no separation. So, what we appear to experience when we appear to be encased in this sack of bones and cartilaginous tissue, guts, and stuff, what's going on here is that this is, in fact, a dream. It's like we've fallen asleep and we're engaged in the process of awakening. It's a dream. When we dream at night, the images that we see in our dream seem very, very real to us, don't they? And it seems like we're there. And we actually sometimes feel physical sensations in the dream, be they pleasurable or painful, or both. Sometimes we interact with beings, with people, with ourselves. We talk. And when we wake up, it's as though the dream were never there, because it was not. It never was real and is gone. So, knowing that you're going to set it aside, the ego has you off chasing one shiny object after another. That's what we all do. We chase after one shiny object after another in an endless stream of constant activity, in which we may get what we're looking for, but it's never enough. We want more. When we achieve one of the ego's ends, we're still dissatisfied. The ego has us off running around in constant activity, anxiety, and fear as a way of distracting us. It's nothing. And we can choose to set it aside at any point in time. That's what time is for, is to make the decision that you want the peace of God and nothing else. And when you make that decision, and make it again, that you want the peace of God and nothing else. And allow your inner teacher to guide and direct you. Forgive. Truly forgive the Son of God, the world, yourself, the ego itself. Yeah. Try forgiving the ego. Do it. Yeah. That too. And keep doing it. You're not a body. So when we place our faith in the ego, this false sense of separate self, we're really placing our faith in nothing. And when we identify with the physical body, we're identifying with nothing. This is a communication device. It's a learning device for the mind. So a learning device is not a teacher. It can't tell you what you feel. Again, The body can't tell you what you feel. The mind does that. The body does the mind's bidding and not the other way around. The body, physical body that you see in the mirror, is an effect, and mind is the cause. This course operates at the level of cause on the mind. It is a mind training course. Now, you can rightly say this about all of spirituality. Clearly, not every tradition extant in the world is going to come out and say, this is a course in mind training. It's not. And a lot of them don't, but that's what they are. We're changing our mind about who we are. We're changing our mind. The body is an effect. So we can choose with the mind to put this effect into the service of our inner teacher, into the service of healing the mind. When we place our faith in the body as an individual unit, as a thing, we're placing our faith in nothing, which we don't have to do. And we all know this. It's why we're interested in spirituality, because we've heard the call of our inner teacher to awaken. And we've, again, formulated the idea. It's popped in to our mind that there's more to it than this. There's a lot more to it. A lot more. In fact, this is nothing. There's no reason for us to continue to put our faith and trust in the ego. Only God is. Only knowledge of God. Only knowledge has being. And the ego has no knowledge. Therefore, the ego has no being. That follows logically. Only knowledge has being. The ego has no knowledge. Therefore, the ego has no being. It does not exist. It's nothing. Individuality, as much as we may prize it in our work life, in our cultures, it's, in truth, nothing. So rather than place our faith in nothing, we're invited to place our faith in the all, in everything, which is not a conglomeration of separate things. It's God. We're one with God. What are you? Who are you? When you truly allow yourself to contemplate this, it's very powerful and relaxing, I hope, reassuring and energizing at the same time. Very powerful. So I invite you to really contemplate these ideas. So we're not a physical body. There are plenty of earnest spiritual practitioners that hear this statement and it resonates with them on some level. Yet, rather than go all the way with it, they stop short. And the thought may come up that, all right, well, if I'm not a body, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to, if none of this is real, I'm going back to the couch and my Netflix and my bag of chips. I'm going to just eat and drink and be lazy because none of this is real anyway. If you've ever thought that, you do not have to self-identify. But that's not what we do while we appear to be here in this form. If you wish to exercise and keep the communication device fit, do it. You don't have to make the body real. It's not real. However, here is what's highly, highly valuable on the spiritual path. While we appear to be here, there are people out there that only you can reach. There are people that will hear our inner teacher's message best from you. You do not have to do as I'm doing right now. This is my own particular directive here, to turn on the camera and microphone and broadcast to a worldwide audience. That's what I'm to do. Your directive from our inner teacher could be completely different. Nobody has to hold themselves out as a teacher. And in fact, you may have a line of work or a profession in your life where you're not a teacher by trade or profession. So no problem. We're always interacting with people, and there are people that will relate best to you. They'll relate best to this. This is a form that people can relate to. It's a form that our brother can relate to without being plunged into an existential crisis, without fear. So this has the use that we give it. It has the purpose that we give it. Healing the mind. Give it over to your inner teacher. And he will make use of the communication mechanism and make it very useful indeed. And incidentally, we're promised here that in so giving over our entire experience, we'll end up lacking nothing. We'll be given, provided everything that we need. And when you think about it, if you're really giving over your existence to the Holy Spirit, saying, run the show, you're not going to lack anything at all, even here in the world where we all clearly need to continue to go to work, yeah, to pay the light bill. I mean, if you're legitimately called to run off to Nepal or Bhutan and become a monk and withdraw from the world, so be it. But that's not the call for many of us. It's not the call for me. So it may not be your calling either. And that's perfectly fine. It is 100% possible to go about life in the world, to go to work, to pay bills, to eat and sleep, to relate to our brother, to use the communication device to heal the mind, to extend love to the Son of God. Your brother will love you back. I mean, if they're having a really bad day, that's an opportunity for you to forgive them, isn't it? So it's worth coming back to the idea that there are people out there that you will reach best. You'll reach them far better than I will reach them or anyone else. They're here to hear the message of our inner teacher from you, whatever form that takes. So it's an invitation for us to, yeah, embrace this material and practice it. It is our practical application that helps us learn. This is how we do it. It's through the practical application. Spirituality is all about practical application. We can study this material and learn it intellectually as much as we want, but the action lies in doing it. And it is our experience that teaches us. Our experience proves to us that the ideas that we're talking about right now are true. So go forth and give over the communication mechanism to your inner teacher for his purposes. He knows what to do. Oh, yeah. All right. So thank you as always for joining me. And thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed. There have been a number of you, and I'd love to have you. If you've not subscribed yet, please go ahead and click this button in the corner of your screen. That arrow will have a pop-up subscribe button. That's the one to click. All right. Yeah, and what we have here is a growing community. People are here from all over the world. So again, I thank you for joining me, and I thank you for your comments and questions. Those are so valuable. And if you have questions or comments, please leave them here in the thread. I'd love to hear from you. And I will see you again on the next video. So thank you, as always, for tuning in and for your practice, because that's the most important thing. All right. See you soon.